Consciousness is the one and only reality. Everything that now exists in your world was first a conception, an idea, a state of consciousness. There is no exception to this rule. The clothes you wear, the chair upon which you sit, the building around us all began as an idea in someone's mind before it was projected into space. You are consciousness. You are not your body, your circumstances, your bank account, your social position. These are but shadows, reflections of your states of consciousness. The real you is the awareness, the I am at the center of your being. Once you truly understand this, you have taken the first step toward mastery of life. Now, the great secret to getting whatever you want lies in one simple principle. What you assume, you become. Your assumptions, whether conscious or unconscious, direct the course of your life. Assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This is the law by which all things come into manifestation. Consider for a moment when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end. Mentally dwelling in the state of already having what you desire, you set in motion forces beyond your conscious awareness that reshape your world to match your assumption. This is not positive thinking. This is the creative use of consciousness itself. Let me share with you a simple experiment to prove this principle. Tonight, before you sleep, define clearly in your mind something you deeply desire. It could be a specific amount of money, a relationship, a job promotion, profit, anything that feels significant to you. Now close your eyes and ask yourself, how would I feel if my desire were already fulfilled? What would I experience? How would I see the world? What would I hear from others? Then create a scene in your imagination that implies your desire is already a fact. Perhaps it is a friend congratulating you on your good fortune. Perhaps it is simply the feeling of relief and satisfaction knowing your desire is now manifest. Make this scene as vivid and as real as you possibly can. Enter into it completely. Feel the reality of it. Experience the naturalness of having what you want. Do this exercise for just a few minutes, but with complete concentration and feeling. Then release it and fall asleep in this consciousness. You need not repeat it again and again throughout the day, though you may if you wish. The important thing is the intensity of feeling, the completeness of the experience in your imagination. What you have done is plant a seed in the fertile soil of consciousness. Just as a farmer plants a seed and then allows nature to take its course, you must allow this seed to grow naturally into manifestation. Do not dig it up every day to see if it has sprouted. Have faith in the law, for the law never fails. You see, imagination is not fantasy as most believe it to be. Imagination is the very creative power of God operating within you. Man is all imagination, and God is man, and exists in us. And we imagine when you are literally exercising divine creative power. This is why the Bible tells us to be renewed by the transformation of your mind. Your mind properly directed in imagination transforms your entire life. Many of you may be thinking, but I have tried to imagine good things, and they did not come to pass. May I suggest that your failure was not in the law, but in your application of it. You may have imagined what you want, but did you feel the reality of it? Did you accept it as true in consciousness, or did doubt and disbelief counteract your creative work? I tell you now, the outer world is a reflection, a shadow of your inner assumptions. There is no way under the sun for you to escape your current state of consciousness. Whatever you are conscious of being, you will express. And what you are not conscious of being, you cannot express. This is immutable law. Consider the biblical instruction, whatsoever things ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. This is not a promise of some future fulfillment. It is a statement of present fact. When you pray, when you imagine, you must believe you have already received, and then you will manifest it in your world. So many people reverse this process. They look to the evidence of their senses to tell them what is possible. They say, when I see it, I will believe it. But the creative process works in the opposite direction. When you believe it, you will see it. Your consciousness must precede your experience, never the reverse. Let me tell you a story of a woman who attended one of my lectures. She had been struggling financially for years, barely making ends meet. After hearing the principle I am sharing with you tonight, she decided to test it. She wanted a specific sum, $5,000, to pay off debts and start a small business. Instead of focusing on her lack of money, on her bills, on her financial struggle, she began to imagine, night after night, finding herself with exactly $5,000. She created a simple scene of looking at her bank statement and seeing that amount in her account. She felt the relief, the freedom, the joy of having that money. She did not concern herself with how it would come. She simply lived from the state of it being done. Within 2 weeks, she received a call from an attorney. It turned out that a distant relative, barely knew, had passed away, had passed $5,000 in his will. The precise amount she had been imagining was now hers. Was this coincidence? Absolutely not. It was the perfect working of law. Her consciousness of having that specific amount attracted the means for its manifestation. The outer circumstances, the relative, the will, the attorney were merely the bridge of incidents that consciousness traveled across to fulfill itself. This same principle applies to every area of your life. There is literally nothing you cannot be, do, or have when you know how to use the creative power of your own consciousness. Let me address a question that may have arisen in your mind. What about other people? Can I use this law to influence others? The answer is both simple and profound. There are no others. What you see in another is only a reflection of a state within yourself. When you change your concept of another, they must change relative to you. This does not violate free will, for consciousness is one. The separation we perceive is an illusion of the senses. At the deeper level of being, we are united in the one consciousness that underlies all life. This is why the Bible says, in him we live and move and have our being. We are individualized centers of the one divine consciousness. So if there is someone in your life who you wish would change, a critical spouse, a difficult boss, an unruly child, do not try to change their behavior directly. Instead, change your consciousness of them. See them mentally as you wish them to be. Interact with them in your imagination as if they were already expressing the qualities you desire to see. If you persist in this new consciousness, they must conform to your new conception. For your consciousness of them is part of your world of shadows that must rearrange itself to match your inner assumptions. I remember a man who came to me in despair over his marriage. His wife had grown cold and distant, and they argued constantly. He was convinced she no longer loved him and was considering leaving her before things got worse. I instructed him in this principle and suggested that each night before sleep he imagine a loving conversation with his wife, feeling her warmth and affection as they spoke. But that would be a lie, he protested. She doesn't speak to me that way anymore. I explained that what he was experiencing was the outpicturing of his own consciousness, and that by changing his consciousness, he would change his experience. Reluctantly, he agreed to try the experiment for 30 days. Within 2 weeks, he reported a complete transformation in his relationship. His wife had, without any direct prompting from him, begun to soften in her manner. She spoke more kindly, showed affection, and expressed appreciation for him. By the end of the 30 days, their marriage had rekindled a warmth and intimacy that exceeded even the early days of their relationship. What happened? He changed his consciousness of her, and she responded to conform to his new assumption. This is not manipulation, it is the natural operation of consciousness creating its own reality. Now, let us delve deeper into this principle of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. There are 3 steps to mastering this creative process. First, clarify exactly what you want. Be specific. Vague desires produce vague results. If you want financial abundance, define the exact amount. If you want a loving relationship, define the qualities and experiences you desire. If you want career success, clarify what that means to you. Second, construct a scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. This scene should be one that would naturally occur after your desire has manifested. It should be brief, easily visualized, and imply the completion of your wish. Third, enter the scene in your imagination and imbue it with the feeling of reality. Feel it as real. Experience it as if it were happening now. Engage all your senses, see the details, hear the sounds, feel the textures and emotions. Then, most importantly, carry the feeling of fulfillment with you as you fall asleep. Sleep is the doorway to the subconscious mind. What you impress upon your consciousness as you fall asleep sinks deeply into the subconscious, where it germinates and grows into objective experience. This is why the Bible so often connects spiritual truths with sleep. He giveth to his beloved in sleep. Many of you have been taught that hard work, struggle, and sacrifice are necessary to achieve your goals. I am telling you that these are not the creative forces of life. The true creative force is consciousness itself. When properly directed through the power of assumption, it effortlessly brings into being that which you desire. This does not mean you will not take action. You will indeed act, but your actions will flow naturally from your new state of consciousness. You will find yourself drawn to do exactly what is necessary for the manifestation of your desire without strain or anxiety. Consider how effortlessly you act out of your current assumptions. If you believe yourself to be intelligent, you naturally speak and act in ways that express intelligence. If you believe yourself to be loved, you naturally interact with others from that state of feeling loved. Your new assumption will operate just as naturally in your life. Now, there is an aspect of this teaching that may challenge some of you. Your desire must be rooted in love, not in fear or the desire to control or harm others. The consciousness that creates worlds is divine love itself. When your desire springs from love for yourself, love for others, love for life itself, its manifestation is assured. If you find that your desire is tinged with fear, resentment, or the need to prove something, I urge you to elevate it. Ask yourself, what do I really want? What is the essence of this desire? Often you will discover that beneath the superficial want lies a deeper longing that is pure and loving. For instance, you may think you want wealth to show others your worth. But beneath that is the deeper desire for freedom, security, and the ability to express your gifts. Focus on this essence, and your manifestation will come more naturally and bring greater fulfillment when it arrives. Let me address another question that often arises. How long will it take for my desire to manifest? The time frame depends on several factors. The intensity of your feeling, the naturalness of your assumption, and your ability to remain faithful to your new concept all play a role. Some desires manifest almost immediately. Others require a gestation period, just as a child requires 9 months in the womb before birth. But understand this, time is not a factor in the fulfillment of desire. Time is merely the medium through which the manifestation appears. In the realm of consciousness, where all creation takes place, there is no time. Your desire is already fulfilled there. The moment you completely accept your desire as an accomplished fact, it is done. The events and circumstances that must occur to bring it into visible expression are set in motion, and nothing can stop them. The Lord will hasten it in its time, says Scripture. When your consciousness is aligned with your desire, the manifestation will come at exactly the right moment. Not a day too soon or too late. I have seen desires manifest in an hour. I have seen them take years. But in every case, the law worked with perfect precision. The outer manifestation always corresponded exactly to the inner assumption. Now, let me speak to those of you who have tried this principle but have not yet seen results. First, examine your feeling. Did you truly capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled? Or did you merely visualize it intellectually without emotional involvement? Second, check your consistency. Have you been faithful to your new assumption? Or have you reverted to your old patterns of thought and feeling? Remember, a seed needs time to grow. If you plant a seed one day and dig it up the next, it will never blossom. Third, look for signs of movement. Often, your desire begins to materialize in small ways before the complete manifestation. Acknowledge and be grateful for these signs. They confirm that the law is working. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, detach from the outcome. This may seem contradictory, but it is vital. Once you have planted the seed in consciousness through your imaginal act, you must release it with complete faith. Anxiety, doubt, and constant checking actually push your desire away. Think of it this way. When you order something from a catalog, you place your order and then go about your business, confident that it will arrive. You don't spend every moment wondering and worrying about its delivery. Apply this same trust to your manifestation process. The law I am sharing with you tonight is not capricious. It does not work sometimes and fail other times. Like gravity, it is constant and dependable. If your desire has not yet manifested, the issue is not with the law, but with your application of it. Let me now address a profound aspect of this teaching that many initially struggle to accept. You are God made manifest. The very consciousness within you that says, I am, is God himself, individualized as you. I and my Father are one, said Jesus. And this is literally true for every one of us. This is not blasphemy. It is the highest spiritual truth. When you say, I am, you are invoking the name of God. This is why Jesus taught, whatever you ask in my name, that is, in the nature and feeling of I am, you will receive. Every time you declare, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am loved, you are literally creating that as your reality. Conversely, when you declare, I am broke, I am sick, I am unloved, you are using the creative power against yourself. Watch your I am statements carefully, for they are decrees that shape your world. Whatever follows I am shapes your experience. This is why the Bible warns, take not the name of the Lord thy God in vain. To say I am followed by something you do not wish to experience is to take God's name in vain. I urge you to become aware of how you use this divine power throughout your day. Listen to your inner conversations. What are you declaring with your I am? These declarations, whether conscious or unconscious, are creating your future. There is a simple practice I recommend to transform your consciousness rapidly. For just 5 minutes, 3 times a day, consciously choose powerful I am statements that align with your desires. Feel their truth as you declare them. This simple practice done faithfully will revolutionize your life. Now let me share with you another aspect of the law that is crucial to understand. You cannot desire something that you do not already have the capacity to achieve. The very presence of desire indicates the presence of fulfillment. When you feel a deep longing for something, whether it is a material object, a relationship, an achievement, or a state of being, that longing is actually the thing itself pressing against the boundaries of your current consciousness, seeking expression. As Emerson so beautifully put it, the thing we seek is seeking us. Your desire is not just yours, it is the universal consciousness seeking individualized expression through you. This is why Jesus taught, before you ask, I have answered. The fulfillment already exists. Your task is to align your consciousness with it. This understanding should eliminate any doubt about your worthiness or capability to manifest your desires. You would not have the desire if you did not already contain within you the fulfillment of that desire. Let us consider another vital point. The outside world is dead. By this, I mean it has no power to create your experience. It seems so solid, so real, so immovable, but it is actually like a shadow cast by your consciousness. Change your consciousness and the shadow must change. Many of you have been taught that circumstances create your thoughts and feelings. You believe that when your circumstances improve, then you will feel better and think more positively. This is exactly backward. Your circumstances are the effect, not the cause of your consciousness. When you wait for circumstances to change before changing your consciousness, you trap yourself in a circle of perpetual limitation. The way out is to boldly assume the consciousness of your wish fulfilled regardless of appearing circumstances. This requires a radical faith in the primacy of consciousness. You must be willing to call those things which do not yet appear in your world as though they did. This is not self-deception. It is understanding the true creative process. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Your faith, your assumption, your consciousness is the actual substance that will materialize as your experience. It is the evidence that precedes physical manifestation. Now, many people ask, can I use this law to help others? Absolutely. Because consciousness is one. When you hold someone in the consciousness of wholeness, success, or any desirable state, you are activating that reality for them. Your consciousness of another contributes to their experience. However, remember this important truth. You can only effectively imagine for another what you are willing to first accept for yourself. If you see lack, limitation, or illness in yourself, you cannot fully see abundance, freedom, and health in another. This is why the Bible instructs, physician, heal thyself before attempting to heal others. When you truly wish to help another, first establish in yourself the consciousness of the solution. See them whole, complete, and fulfilled from that state of consciousness. This is true compassion, not commiserating with their problem, but holding steadfastly to the vision of their freedom from it. I recall a mother who came to me deeply concerned about her son who was failing in school and had fallen in with a troubled crowd. She had tried everything: punishment, rewards, therapy. Nothing had worked. I instructed her to cease all external efforts and instead, each night before sleep, to imagine hearing her son tell her how well he was doing in school, how much he enjoyed his new friends, how happy he was. She was to feel the reality of this conversation, experiencing all the joy and relief it would bring. Then she was to sleep in that consciousness. During the day, regardless of appearances, she was to maintain the feeling that all was well with her son. Within 1 month, her son's behavior and performance had completely transformed. He began bringing home improved grades. He found new friends with positive interests, and their relationship healed. The change seemed miraculous to outside observers, but it was simply the law of consciousness in operation. This brings us to another crucial aspect of the law, the necessity of persistence. Some desires manifest instantly, but many require persistent application of this principle. Do not be discouraged if your world does not change overnight. Continue night after night to sleep in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. Though it tarry, wait for it, says Scripture, for it will surely come. Your persistence in maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled, despite contradictory evidence from your senses, is the measure of your faith. And according to your faith, it is done unto you. There may be times when doubts arise, when your old patterns of thought reclaim your attention. This is natural. Do not fight these thoughts or feelings. Simply acknowledge them and gently bring your consciousness back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Remember, you are breaking lifelong habits of thought. Just as it would take time and consistent effort to master a new physical skill, like playing the piano or speaking a new language, it takes practice to master this new way of using consciousness. But I promise you this, with continued application, this process becomes easier and more natural. You will find yourself spontaneously thinking from your desire rather than of it. When this shift occurs, manifestation accelerates dramatically. Now let me address an aspect that many find difficult, letting go of the how. Your job is not to determine how your desire will manifest. Your job is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and allow infinite intelligence to bring it about in the most appropriate way. Often we limit our good by trying to dictate exactly how it should come to us. We may have a specific person, circumstance, or event in mind as the vehicle for our desire. But by fixating on the specific channel, we block countless other channels through which our good might flow. The consciousness that created the universe does not need your assistance in determining the path of manifestation. Your role is to determine the what through your assumption. The how will take care of itself. This is why Jesus taught, take no thought for the how, and why he demonstrated this principle by feeding thousands with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. The way will appear when your consciousness is aligned with your desire. Let me give you an example. A young man I knew desired to travel to Europe, but had no money for the journey. Rather than focusing on the lack of funds, he began to imagine being in Europe, feeling the cobblestones beneath his feet, hearing the foreign languages around him, seeing the historic architecture. He did not concern himself with how he would get there or would pay for it. He simply lived mentally in the state of already being in Europe, enjoying his travels. Within weeks, he received an unexpected invitation to accompany a family as a tutor for their children on a European tour. Not only were his expenses paid, but he was also given a salary for his services. The means came in a way he could never have planned or anticipated. This is the magic of allowing. When you try to control the how, you limit yourself to what your current mindset believes is possible. When you surrender the how while maintaining the feeling of the end, you open yourself to infinite possibilities. There is another element of this teaching that I must share with you. the secret of gratitude. Gratitude is not just a virtue, it is a powerful creative force. When you feel grateful for something, you are affirming its presence in your life. You cannot be grateful for something you do not believe you have. This is why Jesus, before performing what the world called miracles, would look up to heaven and give thanks. He was establishing in consciousness the reality of what was about to manifest. I recommend that you cultivate the feeling of gratitude for your desire as though it were already fulfilled. Give thanks for it morning and night. Feel the joy and appreciation of having received your good. This attitude of thankfulness accelerates manifestation greatly. Gratitude also keeps you focused on abundance rather than lack. What you appreciate appreciates. By being genuinely thankful for what you are imagining, you amplify its presence in your consciousness and therefore in your experience. Now, as we near the conclusion of our discussion, let me address perhaps the most important aspect of this teaching. You must embody the consciousness of your desire. It is not enough to visualize it occasionally or affirm it with words. You must become it in consciousness. Be yet transformed by the renewing of your mind. This transformation is not just a change in thinking. It is a change in being. You must feel yourself to be the person who already has what you desire. You must think, feel, speak, and act from that state of consciousness. When you truly embody the consciousness of your desire, you no longer seek it, for how can you seek what you already are? This shift from seeking to being is the essence of successful manifestation. Consider how differently you would move through your day if your desire were already fulfilled. How would you wake up in the morning? How would you speak to others? What thoughts would occupy your mind? What emotions would you feel? Begin to live from these answers, not just in imagination, but in your daily activities. This consistent embodiment of your desired state is what truly transforms your world. Remember the biblical instruction, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. The consciousness of Jesus, the consciousness that knows I and my Father are one and therefore all things are possible, is your consciousness when you awaken to your true identity. You are not a limited, separate being struggling against the world. You are the very consciousness in which all things exist. When you know this not intellectually but experientially, you step into your divine inheritance as a creative being made in the image of God. In closing, let me summarize what I have shared with you tonight. Consciousness is the only reality. What you are conscious of being, you will express in your world. Your assumptions persisted in harden into fact. Therefore, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. The creative process involves clarifying your desire, constructing a scene that implies fulfillment, and experiencing that scene with full sensory and emotional involvement until it feels natural. Sleep in the consciousness of your desire fulfilled, allowing it to sink deeply into your subconscious mind, where it will germinate and express in your outer world. Do not concern yourself with the how. Your job is to maintain the consciousness of the end, and the means will take care of themselves. Be persistent in your new assumption. Though your senses may deny it, continue to be faithful to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Express gratitude for your desire as though it were already manifest. This attitude accelerates the manifestation process. Finally, embody the consciousness of your desire in all aspects of your life. Think, feel, speak, and act as the person who already has what you desire. The power I am describing is not outside of you. It is not something to attain or achieve. It is your very being, your I amness. When you say I am, you are invoking the name and nature of God, the creative power that shapes universes. Use this power consciously, lovingly, and with reverence, and there is absolutely nothing you cannot be, do, or have. For in the realm of consciousness, the only reality, you are already complete, perfect, and whole, lacking nothing. Tonight, as you retire to sleep, I challenge you to put this principle to the test. Select one desire that is dear to your heart. Feel yourself into the state of its fulfillment. Fall asleep in that consciousness. Then observe how your outer world begins to reshape itself to match your inner assumption. Remember, all things are possible to him that believeth. Believe in the reality of your consciousness as the creative power. Believe in your ability to assume and sustain the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Most importantly, believe in yourself as the individualized expression of the one divine consciousness that creates all things. The kingdom of heaven, the realm where all desires are already fulfilled, is in you. It is your consciousness. Enter that kingdom tonight by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled and watch as miracles unfold in your life. For imagination creates reality, what you assume you become, and consciousness is the one and only reality. Imagination is not fantasy as the world would have you believe. Imagination is the very substance of reality, the creative power of the universe itself. It is God in action, for we are told that man is made in the image of God. The Hebrew word for image is telem, which carries with it the connotation of shadow or reflection. You are not merely a creation of God. You are the creative power of God individualized. Now let me share a story with you. A few years ago, a man came to one of my lectures in New York. He was financially destitute, had lost his business, his home was in foreclosure, and his family was on the verge of breaking apart under the strain. He asked me after the lecture, how can I possibly shift my energy when everything around me contradicts what I desire? How can I believe in abundance when my reality shows only lack? I told him what I will tell you now. The outer world is merely the effect. Consciousness is the cause. If you wait for the outer world to change before you change your consciousness, you will wait forever. For the world can only reflect what you are projecting. So I told this man, dare to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Live from the end. Feel the energy of what it would be like to have your business thriving again, to have your home secure, to have harmony in your family. He practiced this diligently, entering into the state of consciousness where his desires were already fulfilled, feeling the naturalness of it, the reality of it in his imagination. And within 6 months, not only had he started a new business that was more successful than his previous one, but he had also managed to save his home and restore harmony to his family life. Was this a miracle? No, it was the natural working of law. For as the great poet William Blake said, what seems to be is to those to whom it seems to be. Your reality is entirely subjective, and it conforms perfectly to your concept of yourself and the assumptions that you hold as true. Now, what does it mean to shift your energy? It is not enough to merely visualize what you want, though that is certainly part of it. To truly shift your energy means to so completely identify with the style desire that you feel yourself to be living from it now. You see, most people try to manifest from a state of wanting, of needing, of not having. But that energy of lack only perpetuates more lack. Imagine a radio. There are countless stations broadcasting simultaneously, but you can only hear the one to which you are tuned. Your consciousness is like that radio. There are infinite states of consciousness, infinite versions of reality all existing simultaneously. The one you experience is the one with which you are in vibrational harmony, the one that matches your energy, your state of consciousness. So how do you shift your energy to manifest your desired future? First, you must clearly define what you want. Be specific. The universe cannot deliver vague requests. If you want financial abundance, how much exactly? If you want a harmonious relationship, what qualities must it embody? If you want vibrant health, how does it feel to have it? Once you have clearly defined your desire, you must then do what seems to be the most challenging part, but which is in fact the simplest. You must assume the state of consciousness of already having it. You must feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let me ask you this. If you already had what you desire, how would you feel? What thoughts would you think? How would you carry yourself? What would your internal dialogue be like? When you can answer these questions and begin to embody those feelings, thoughts, and behaviors, you are shifting your energy to match the frequency of your desire. Now let me tell you about the law of assumption, which is the foundation of all manifestation. Whatever you assume to be true, your subconscious mind must accept, and it will work day and night to bring into your experience evidence of that assumption. This is not positive thinking. This is the recognition of how reality operates at its fundamental level. If you assume that you are loved, your subconscious mind will orchestrate events to bring you evidence of being loved. If you assume that you are wealthy, your subconscious mind will guide you toward opportunities for wealth. If you assume that you are healthy, your body will respond accordingly. But you must persist in this assumption until it becomes your dominant feeling, your natural state of being. Remember the words of Scripture, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." Your transformation begins with the renewing of your mind, with changing your concept of yourself and the assumptions that you live by. Many of you have heard of the law of attraction, but few understand its true mechanism. The law of attraction is not about attracting things to you, it is about attracting you to things. You are drawn to the reality that matches your state of consciousness. When you shift your energy, when you change your state of consciousness, you are literally shifting to a different version of reality where your desires already exist. And this is where many fall short in their manifestation practices. They try to manifest while still identifying with the state of not having what they desire. It is like trying to broadcast on one frequency while tuning into another. It creates static confusion and ultimately disappointment. So how do you maintain this new state of consciousness, this shifted energy? Through mental diet. Just as you are careful about what you put into your physical body, be even more vigilant about what you feed your mind. Every thought, every internal conversation, every assumption is either aligning you with your desire or moving you away from it. Begin to observe your thoughts, your internal conversations. Are they of lack of fear, of doubt? Then change them. Replace them with thoughts and conversations that align with your desire fulfilled. This is not denial of your current reality. It is the recognition that your current reality is simply the harvest of seeds planted in the past. And you are now planting new seeds for a new harvest. Now, I want to address a common concern. Many of you may be thinking, but what about action? Don't I need to do something to manifest my desires? Yes, action is important, but it is inspired action that comes from your shifted state of consciousness, not action born of desperation or fear. When you have truly shifted your energy to align with your desire fulfilled, you will be naturally guided to take the right actions at the right time. It will not feel like effort or struggle. It will feel natural, inspired, almost as if you are being carried along by a current. Remember, the outer world can only reflect what is within. If your inner world is filled with doubt, fear, and lack, your outer world will reflect those states. But when your inner world is filled with certainty, love, and abundance, your outer world must and will reflect those states instead. I want to share another story with you. A woman once came to me who had been trying to manifest a loving relationship for years without success. She had tried everything, affirmations, vision boards, even dating apps, but nothing seemed to work. When we delved deeper, I discovered that while she consciously wanted a loving relation, she harbored a deep-seated but she was unlovable. That any man who truly knew her would eventually leave her. No amount of external action could override this subconscious assumption. So I guided her to work on changing this core belief. Rather than trying to find love, I suggested that she become the embodiment of love itself. To feel so filled with love that it overflowed from her, to assume the state of being deeply loved and valued, not by any specific person, but as her natural state of being. Within 2 months of this inner work, of this energy shifting, she met a man who adored her exactly as she was. They are now married and have created a life together based on mutual respect, admiration, and deep love. She didn't find him, she became the version of herself who was already with him. This is the essence of manifestation through energy shifting. It is not about manipulating the external world. It is about transforming your internal world, knowing that the external must conform. Now, I want to address another aspect of manifestation that is often misunderstood, and that is the concept of time. In our three-dimensional world, we experience time as linear, as a progression from past to present to future. But in the fourth dimension, in the spiritual realm, all time exists simultaneously. There is only the eternal now. When you truly understand this, you realize that your future already exists. It is not something to be created. It is something to be selected through your state of consciousness. Think of it as a radio dial again. Your future of abundance, health, love, and joy already exists on a particular frequency. You don't need to create it. You only need to tune into it by shifting your energy to match its frequency. This is why patience is so important in manifestation. It is not about waiting for your desire to be created. It is about allowing the bridge of events to be built between your current physical reality and the reality where your desire already exists. This bridge is built automatically once you have shifted your energy, once you have assumed the state of consciousness of your wish fulfilled. But many of you become impatient. You shift your energy for a day or two, and then when you don't see immediate results, you revert state or old state of consciousness, your old energy. It is like planting a seed and then digging it up every day to see if it has grown. You must plant the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind and then allow it to grow in its own time and in its own way. Remember the words of Scripture, in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Your harvest will come, but it will come in its own season, not necessarily unattainable. Your job is not to determine when or how your desire will manifest. Your job is simply to maintain the state of consciousness, the energy of already having it. And this brings me to another crucial aspect of manifestation, and that is detachment. Many of you become so attached to your desire, so fixated on it, that you actually push it away. For attachment comes from a place of fear that you might not get what you want. And that fear is a low-frequency energy that repels rather than attracts. True detachment comes from absolute knowing. When you know that your desire is already yours in the spiritual realm, when you know that it must manifest in the physical realm, if you maintain the right state of consciousness, then you can relax. Then you can let go of the desperate need to see it now. It is like ordering a package online. Once you've placed the order, you don't sit by your mailbox fretting and worrying about whether it will come. You know it will come because you placed the order. You go about your life, and when the package arrives, you receive it with gratitude. Manifesting your desires works the same way. Once you've placed your order with the universe by assuming the state of consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you must then release it, trust the process, and go about your life from this new state of being. Now, I want to talk about an aspect of energy shifting that is often overlooked, and that is the energy of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrational states you can embody. When you are genuinely grateful, you are acknowledging that you already have what you desire, even if it has not yet manifested in the physical realm. Gratitude closes the gap between wanting and having. It is impossible to feel grateful and to feel lack at the same time. They are opposing energies. So if you want to shift your energy rapidly, begin to practice deep, genuine gratitude for your desire as if it is already yours. Each night before you sleep and each morning when you wake, give thanks for your desire fulfilled. Feel the feeling of gratitude wash over you. Allow it to permeate every cell of your being. This practice alone can completely transform your manifestation process. But there is an even deeper level of gratitude that I want to invite you to explore. And that is gratitude for what is, not just for what you desire. When you can find genuine gratitude for your current reality, even for the challenges and the lessons, you elevate your energy to such a degree that manifestation becomes effortless. For at the highest level of consciousness, you recognize that everything is perfect exactly as it is. Every experience, every challenge, every seeming setback is actually moving you toward your highest good. When you can embody this truth, when you can live from this understanding, you become a master manifestor. I want to share with you a powerful technique for shifting your energy. And that is the use of I am statements. I am is one of the most powerful phrases in any language because it defines your state of being. Whatever follows I am shapes your reality. Be very careful with the statements that follow I am in your internal dialogue. If you find yourself thinking or saying, I am sick, I am broke, I am unlucky in love, you are affirming and reinforcing those states of being. Instead, deliberately choose I am statements that align with your desires. I am healthy and vibrant. I am abundantly wealthy. I am deeply loved and in a harmonious relationship. Say these statements not as affirmations that you hope will become true, but as acknowledgments of what is already true in the spiritual realm, in the reality that you are now aligning with. Feel the truth of these statements as you say them. If resistance arises, if your mind argues with these statements, simply observe that resistance without judgment and gently return to the feeling of your statements being true. Over time, with persistence, these new I am statements will become your default state of being, your natural energy signature, and your outer world will reorganize itself to match this new inner state. Now I want to talk about a common obstacle to manifestation, and that is the energy of unworthiness. Many of you, at a subconscious level, do not believe that you deserve what you desire. This belief, this energy of unworthiness, acts as a barrier between you and your manifestations. Remember, the universe is abundant beyond measure. There is no limit to what you can have, be, or do, except the limits that you place upon yourself through your beliefs and assumptions. You are worthy of everything you desire simply because you exist, simply because you are an individualized expression of God, of the creative power of the universe. If you find yourself struggling with feelings of unworthiness, begin to work on healing this aspect of your consciousness. Recognize that these feelings are not the truth of who you are. They are simply beliefs that you have acquired throughout your life, beliefs that you can change. One powerful way to dissolve the energy of unworthiness is through self-love practices. Begin to treat yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and respect that you would offer to someone you deeply love. Speak to yourself with words of encouragement and affirmation. Care for your body, mind, and spirit as if they are sacred. As you cultivate self-love, as you shift from the energy of unworthiness to the energy of deservingness, you remove one of the most significant barriers to manifestation. And this brings me to another crucial aspect of energy shifting, and that is forgiveness. Unforgiveness, whether directed toward others or toward yourself, is a low-frequency energy that blocks the flow of your good. It keeps you chained to the past and prevents you from fully entering into the energy of your desired future. Forgiveness does not mean condoning harmful actions or staying in harmful situations. It means releasing the emotional charge, the energetic cord that binds you to people and events from your past. It means recognizing that by holding on to resentment, you are only hurting yourself. True forgiveness comes from understanding that everyone, including yourself, is doing the best they can with the consciousness they have in any given moment. As consciousness evolves, behavior improves. So forgive yourself for past mistakes, understanding that they were the result of your level of consciousness at that time, and forgive others for the same reason. This forgiveness practice will liberate tremendous amounts of energy that can then be redirected toward manifesting your desires. Now I want to discuss the role of belief in the manifestation process. Your beliefs are the foundation upon which your reality is built. A belief is simply a thought that you have thought so often that it has become automatic, unconscious. Many of your beliefs were formed in childhood, absorbed from your family culture and early experiences. Some of these beliefs serve you, but many do not. The good news is that beliefs can be changed. They are not fixed or permanent unless you consider them to be. To shift your energy for powerful manifestation, you must identify and transform the beliefs that are not in alignment with your desires. For instance, if you desire financial abundance but hold a belief that money is the root of all evil or rich people are greedy, you are creating internal conflict that will block your manifestation. Begin to examine your beliefs about the areas of life where you desire change. Write them down. Look at them objectively. Ask yourself, is this belief serving me? Is it helping me manifest my desires? Is it even true? If the answer is no, then decide to release that belief and replace it with one that is in alignment with your desires. Remember, a belief is nothing more than a thought that you have thought repeatedly. By deliberately choosing new thoughts and thinking them repeatedly with emotion and conviction, you can install new beliefs that support rather than sabotage your manifestations. And this brings me to another powerful technique for energy shifting, and that is the use of your imagination. Your imagination is not merely a faculty for daydreaming. It is the creative faculty through which you shape your reality. Every night before you sleep, enter into a state of deep relaxation and use your imagination to create a scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. Make this scene as vivid and as real as possible. Engage all of your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel, smell, taste? Immerse yourself in this scene until it feels absolutely real to you. Until you feel the joy, the gratitude, the satisfaction of your desire being fulfilled. Then carry this feeling with you into sleep. Your subconscious mind is most receptive as you fall asleep and as you awaken. By impressing your desire upon your subconscious in these receptive states, you are programming it to manifest in your physical reality. Do this consistently night after night, and you will be amazed at how your outer world begins to rearrange itself to match the inner world that you have created in your imagination. Now I want to talk about an aspect of manifestation that is often misunderstood, and that is the role of action. Many teachings on manifestation either overemphasize action, making it seem as if manifestation is all about hustle and effort, or they underemphasize it, making it seem as if you can simply visualize your desires and they will magically appear without any movement on your part. The truth lies in the balance. Manifestation requires both inner and outer work. The inner work is shifting your energy, changing your state of consciousness to align with your desire fulfilled. The outer work is taking inspired action from this new state of consciousness. The key word here is inspired. When you have successfully shifted your energy, when you are living from the state of your desire fulfilled, you will be naturally guided to take certain actions. These actions will not feel like struggle or effort. They will feel natural, exciting, almost as if you are being pulled toward them. This is the universe working through you to bring your desire into physical form. Your job is to remain in the energy of your desire fulfilled and to follow the intuitive nudges, the inspired ideas that come to you from this state. Sometimes the inspired action may be to do nothing, to be patient, to trust. Other times it may be to take a bold step you would never have considered from your old state of consciousness. Trust the guidance that comes from your shifted energy and act on it promptly. I want to address another common obstacle to manifestation, and that is the energy of doubt. Doubt is natural. It arises whenever we attempt to create something that we have not created before. Whenever we attempt to become something that we have not been before. But doubt need not derail your manifestations. When doubt arises simply without judgment, do not fight it or try to suppress it, as this only gives it more power. Instead, acknowledge it and then gently return to the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Remember, doubt is simply a thought, and a thought can be changed. Replace the thought of doubt with a thought of certainty, with the knowing that what you desire is already yours in the spiritual realm and must manifest in the physical realm if you maintain the right state of consciousness. One powerful way to overcome doubt is through evidence collecting. Begin to notice the small signs, the synchronicities, the coincidences that suggest your desire is on its way to you. These signs are everywhere once you begin to look for them. Acknowledging and appreciating these signs builds your faith and dissolves doubt. And this brings me to another crucial aspect of energy shifting, and that is the importance of consistency. Manifestation is not a one-time event. It is a way of life. You must consistently maintain the energy, the state of consciousness of your desire fulfilled in order for it in your physical reality. This does not mean that you will never have moments of doubt or fear or reverting to old patterns of thought. You are human, and fluctuations in energy are natural. But it does mean that you must consistently return to the energy of your desire fulfilled, especially after you have temporarily slipped from it. I think of it like learning to play a musical instrument. At first, it requires conscious effort and practice. You make mistakes, you get frustrated, but you keep returning to the practice. Eventually, it becomes second nature. You can play without conscious thought. It becomes a part of who you are. Manifestation works the same way. At first, maintaining the energy of your desire fulfilled requires conscious effort and practice. But as you persist, it becomes your natural state of being, your default energy signature. And this brings me to one of the most powerful secrets of manifestation, which is the understanding that you are not just manifesting things or experiences, you are manifesting a state of being. The things and experiences are simply the outer symbols, the physical reflections of this state of being. For instance, if you desire financial abundance, what you are really seeking is the state of being that you believe financial abundance will give you. Perhaps it's security, freedom, peace of mind, the ability to contribute to causes you care about. When you identify the state of being that underlies your desire and begin to cultivate that state now, regardless of your current circumstances, you accelerate your manifestation tremendously. For you are no longer trying to get something to feel a certain way. You are feeling that way now and allowing the outer symbols to naturally follow. This is why it is so important to clarify your desires, to understand what you truly want beneath the surface level desire. What state of being are you seeking? Once you've identified it, begin to embody it now. Feel it as your reality now. Live from it now. And watch as your outer world transforms to match this inner state. Now, I want to talk about an aspect of energy shifting that is often overlooked. And that is the energy of surrender. Many of you approach manifestation with a tight grip, with an energy of control and force. You try to micromanage the universe, dictating exactly how and when your desire should manifest. But true manifestation requires a balance of intention and surrender. You set your intention clearly. You shift your energy to align with your desire fulfilled. And then you surrender the outcome to the universe, to the wisdom of yourself, trusting that what manifests will be for your highest good, even if it doesn't look exactly as you had imagined. This surrender is not giving up. It is not resignation. It is a profound trust in the perfect unfolding of your life, in the benevolence of the universe. It is the recognition that your higher self, your divine self, may have an even grander vision for your life than your human self can conceive. When you can hold both clear intention and complete surrender simultaneously, you enter into a state of flow, a state of grace, where manifestation becomes effortless and joyful. And now I want to leave you with a final thought, a final truth about the nature of reality and the process of manifestation. Everything that you perceive in your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Everything. There are no exceptions to this rule. This means that if you want to change anything in your outer world, your finances, your relationships, your health, your career, you must first change the corresponding aspect of your inner world. You must shift your energy, your state of consciousness in relation to that area of life. This is both a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous freedom. It means that you are not at the mercy of external circumstances, of other people's actions, of the economy, of luck or fate. You are the creator of your reality, all of it, through the states of consciousness that you embody. So, choose wisely the states of consciousness, the energies that you embody. Choose states of love rather than fear, of abundance rather than lack, of health rather than illness, of harmony rather than conflict. Choose to live from the end, from the fulfilled desire, rather than from the wanting of it. Do this consistently with faith and patience, and your life will transform in ways that may seem miraculous to others, but that you will understand as the natural working of law, the perfect reflection of your shifted energy, your changed consciousness. Remember, I am is the self-definition of the infinite. Whatever follows I am in your consciousness defines your world. Choose your I am statements with care and with full awareness of their creative power. You are not merely a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are an individualized expression of the divine, with all the creative power that implies. Use this power consciously. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. And your life will become a living testament to the truth that as within, so without. Shift your energy and you shift your world. It is the law. It is the promise. And it is the way. I am not referring to some distant deity sitting on a cloud, passing judgment on his creation. No, the God of whom I speak is your own wonderful human imagination. This is the God that created all things and continues to create your world even now. The eternal body of man is the imagination that is God himself, as Blake so brilliantly expressed. This divine presence is not separate from you. It is the very core of your being. It is the I am consciousness that declares itself whenever you say, I am. When you state, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am loved, you are activating the creative power of God within you. This power never sleeps, never fails, and never abandons the work it has begun in you. Perhaps you look at your current circumstances and see evidence that contradicts the fulfillment of your desires. You may see limitation where you crave abundance, illness where you long for health, or solitude where you yearn for companionship. And you wonder, has God abandoned me? Is the process broken? I tell you with absolute certainty, God is not done with you. Your physical senses present a world of effects, but the true causative power lies in your imagination. What you now experience as your reality was once only imagined. And what you now imagine with feeling and conviction must, by law, externalize itself in your world. The divine process. The process by which imagination creates reality follows an inviolable pattern. First comes the seed, your assumption. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you plant this seed in the fertile soil of consciousness. Then comes a period of gestation. During this interval, the conditions necessary for your assumption's fulfillment are being arranged in ways your conscious mind cannot perceive. Many abandon their desires during this critical gestation period, not understanding the perfect timing of divine law. They mistake the silence for absence, the darkness for defeat. But I tell you, this is the very moment to intensify your faith, to deepen your conviction that God's work in you continues unabated, unseen. The seed must decompose before the new growth appears. There is always a period of darkness, of apparent nothingness, before the manifestation of the new state. This is nature's way, and nature is but God's method of operation. Consider the miracle of a simple seed. Place it in the ground, and to all appearances it dies. There is a period where nothing seems to happen. Is the process incomplete? Has nature abandoned its purpose? No, beneath the surface, invisible to human eyes, a magnificent transformation is occurring. The seed casing breaks down, releasing the life force within. Roots extend downward. A shoot pushes upward, and in perfect timing, not a moment too soon or too late, new life emerges into the light. So it is with the seeds of your desires. Once planted in consciousness through the feeling of the wish fulfilled, they enter a period of invisible development. This is not a time of inactivity, but of the most profound activity beyond the detection of your senses. Do not despair during this period of seeming nothingness. Do not interpret the silence as abandonment. God is not done with you. The divine process continues, arranging the 1,000 details necessary for your assumption to flower into fact. Persistence in the face of contradiction. The world of Caesar, the world of physical evidence, will always present facts that contradict your new assumption. This is the greatest test of your faith. Can you persist in your assumption despite the testimony of your senses? When the man with the withered hand was commanded to stretch it forth, all physical evidence argued against the possibility. His experience, his memory, medical opinion, all would have counseled against attempting the impossible. Yet in that critical moment, he did not consult his past, but activated his imagination to feel what it would be like to have a perfectly functioning hand. He persisted in this new assumption despite all contradictory evidence, and his hand was restored. You too must develop this capacity to persist in your new assumption regardless of contradictory appearances. Your physical senses can only show you what has been manifested from past imaginings. They cannot reveal what is being shaped now through your present act of imagination. Remember the words attributed to Jesus, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is to judge from the standpoint of your wish fulfilled, to see what is not yet visible to mortal eyes. When you find yourself beset by doubts, when the voice of reason lists all the obstacles to your desires' fulfillment, when well-meaning friends counsel you to be realistic, this is the moment to reaffirm, God is not done with me. The process is unfolding perfectly. That which I've assumed in my imagination is already mine in the reality of consciousness, and must shortly become mine in the world of effects. The law of identical harvest. A fundamental law of creation is that you always reap what you sow. Your harvest will be identical in kind to your seed. If you plant corn, you will not harvest wheat. If you plant assumptions of lack, you cannot reap abundance. Many pray fervently for one state, while constantly imagining themselves in its opposite. They pray for health while fixating on symptoms. They desire wealth while mentally rehearsing their financial worries. They long for love while imaginatively dwelling on their loneliness. Then they wonder why God seems to have abandoned their cause. I tell you, God has not abandoned you. The Lord is functioning perfectly. You are experiencing precisely what you have planted in consciousness through your dominant assumptions. If you desire a different harvest, you must plant different seeds. You must revise your concept of self. Instead of accepting the suggestion of limitation, consciously choose the assumption of fulfillment. Feel yourself to be the person you wish to be. Experience imaginatively the state you long to occupy. Do this with the conviction that God's process is at work within you. Your conscious assumption activates the divine creative power, which then works day and night, independently of your conscious awareness, to bring about the conditions necessary for your assumption's fulfillment. The present moment is the point of creation. Many believe that fulfillment lies in some distant future, that they must wait for God to complete his work. But I tell you, the only point of creation is the eternal now. God's work in you is completed the moment you fully accept your assumption as fact. In imagination, step into the state of your wish fulfilled. Experience it with all the vividness you can muster. Feel the naturalness of being what you desire to be. Then know with absolute certainty that in the reality of consciousness, the only true reality or desire is already fulfilled. The time it takes for this inner fulfillment to become apparent to your senses is determined by the intensity of your feeling and the naturalness of your assumption. Some desires manifest instantly, while others require a period of unfoldment. But make no mistake, the creative act is completed in the moment of assumption. God is not working toward the fulfillment of your desire. In the moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, that desire was granted. What follows is not creation, but the emergence into visibility of that which is already complete, the Sabbath rest. After God completed his work of creation, he rested. This is a profound mystical truth that holds the key to successful manifestation. When you have planted the seed of your desire through conscious assumption, you must enter the Sabbath, the state of mental rest. Many undermine their creative work by continuing to labor anxiously after the seed is planted. They dig up the seed repeatedly to check if it's growing. They water it with tears of doubt and fear. They hover over it with the anxious concern of a parent whose lack of trust impedes the natural development of their child. To trust the process is to enter the Sabbath rest. Having assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you release all anxiety about how and when it will appear in your world. You know with unshakable confidence that what you have planted must, by divine law, come to harvest. This rest is not inactivity, but the highest form of activity, the activity of faith. It is a mental stillness that reflects absolute confidence in the perfect operation of divine law. It is the peace that comes from knowing that God is not done with you, that the process continues perfectly without your anxious supervision. The principle of revision. If you have planted seeds contrary to your desires, if you have accepted limiting assumptions that now manifest as unwanted conditions, do not despair. The divine power of revision is always available to you. Through the art of revision, you can literally re-roar past. As you drop into sleep tonight, replay the events of your day, not as they occurred, but as you wish they had occurred. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the fulfillment that would be yours had things gone ideally. This is not mere fantasy or escapism. This is the activation of the divine process of creation. Your imaginal act, impressed upon the malleable substance of consciousness, will work backward and forward to bring about conditions in harmony with your revised version. God is not done with your past any more than he is done with your future. All time exists simultaneously in the eternal now of consciousness. What you have experienced as past remains alive and subject to revision through the power of your imagination. The bridge of incidents between your present state and the fulfillment of your desire stretches what I call the bridge of incidents a series of seemingly unrelated ends that lead inevitably to your desired end. You need not concern yourself with constructing this bridge. That is the work of the divine process. Your task is simply to occupy the end, to dwell mentally in the state of your wish fulfilled, and to trust the perfect operation of the law to bring about all intermediate steps. These steps may not follow the path you would consciously choose. They may include apparent setbacks or detours. The human intellect, with its limited perspective, cannot map the shortest route between desire and fulfillment. But divine intelligence, operating through your assumption, knows the perfect way. Often, what appears to be a devastating disappointment proves to be a necessary link in the chain of fulfillment. The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the investment that failed, all may be essential components of the bridge leading to something far greater than you had imagined. This is why trust in the process is so essential. When you truly understand that God is not done with you, you can meet every circumstance with the conviction that it forms part of the perfect pattern leading to your good. Living from the end. The most powerful position from which to create is the end. When you mentally dwell in the end, the state of your wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the creative current that brings all things into being. Most people live from memory rather than from imagination. They allow their present to be determined by their past. But the awakened individual lives from imagination, allowing their present to be shaped by their chosen future. To live from the end is to occupy mentally the state you desire to externalize. It is to feel the naturalness of being what you want to be. It is to experience the satisfaction of having what you want to have. As you persist in this mental occupation, the present circumstances of your life begin to rearrange themselves to conform to your assumption. People, events, and conditions align perfectly to make your invisible assumption a visible fact. This is not wishful thinking or positive affirmation. This is the operation of immutable law. Your consciousness is the only reality. What you accept as true in consciousness must externalize itself in your world. There is no power outside of your own wonderful human imagination that can override this process. The pruning process. Sometimes the manifestation of your desire requires the removal of certain elements from your life. This is the necessary pruning that precedes new growth. Just as a gardener prunes a rose bush, cutting away even healthy branches to promote more abundant flowering, so the divine process sometimes removes people, circumstances, or conditions that cannot harmonize with your new assumption. This pruning may temporarily appear as loss, as disappointment, as abandonment. But I assure you it is evidence not that God has abandoned his work in you, but that the process continues perfectly. Every apparent loss creates space for something better to enter. Every relationship that ends makes room for more fulfilling connection. Every door that closes propels you toward the open door that leads to your good. Trust the pruning process. Know that nothing essential to your happiness and fulfillment can be taken from you. That which is removed simply cannot accompany you into your new state of being. The all above assumption supersedes all lesser laws. Many believe themselves bound by limitations, physical laws, heredity, environment, past mistakes, the actions of others. They see these as insurmountable obstacles to the fulfillment of their desires. But I tell you, the law of assumption supersedes all lesser laws. When you firmly assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, all other factors must rearrange themselves to conform to your assumption. The laws of physics, biology, economics, and social interaction are not absolute. They are patterns based on collective assumptions. Your individual assumption, when maintained with conviction, can modify or suspend these lesser laws. This is the true meaning of miracle. Not a suspension of law, but the operation of higher law that transcends common expectations. You are not bound by your past, your genes, your environment, or the actions of others. These present obstacles only to the degree that you accept them as limitations. Change your fundamental assumptions, and these seeming obstacles become the very elements that contribute to your success. The states of consciousness. Your entire life is a movement through various states of consciousness. Each state has its own inherent conditions and circumstances. When you occupy a state of poverty consciousness, you experience the limitations and lacks associated with poverty. When you occupy a state of health consciousness, you experience the vitality and well-being associated with health. These states are not imposed upon you from without. You enter them through your assumptions, and you can leave any undesirable state by assuming yourself to be in its opposite. Many pray to be delivered from an unwanted state while mentally continuing to occupy it. This is like asking to be in Boston while refusing to leave Chicago. You cannot be in two cities or two states of consciousness simultaneously. If you desire to experience the conditions of abundance, you must vacate the state of poverty by assuming the feeling of abundance. If you wish to experience radiant health, you must vacate the state of illness by assuming the feeling of vitality. The divine process that I speak of is this movement from state to state, each bringing its corresponding conditions into your life. God is not done with you because this progression never ends. There are infinite states of consciousness available to you, each offering richer experiences than the last. The purpose of the process. You may wonder why the process unfolds as it does. Why doesn't God simply grant your desire instantly? Why the waiting, the unfolding, the bridge of incidents? The purpose of the process is not merely to give you the thing desired, but to transform you into the person who can receive and maintain it. The unfoldment perfectly paces your evolution in consciousness. If you received instantly everything your surface mind desires, without the corresponding development in consciousness, you would either fail to recognize your good or be unable to sustain it. Consider the lottery winners who receive vast wealth without the consciousness of wealth, only to lose it all within a few years. Consider the person who achieves their dream relationship, but lacking the consciousness of being loved, sabotages it through insecurity and fear. The divine process works not just to bring you your desire, but to bring you into alignment with it. The waiting period, which so many interpreters delay or denial, is actually exact time needed for you to develop the consciousness that can contain your good. Trust this process. Know that God is not done with you. The perfect pattern of your unfoldment is proceeding exactly as it should. The promise. Beyond all manifestation of specific desires, what I call the promise, the ultimate purpose of the divine process working in you. This promise is your complete awakening to your true identity as God individualized. All lesser manifestations, wealth, health, relationships, achievements are steps leading to this supreme realization. They are important, yes, but they are not the final purpose of the process. God is not done with you because the work continues until the promise is fulfilled in you, until you awaken fully to the truth that you are God in human form, that there is no power outside of your consciousness, that you are the author of all that you experience. This awakening does not come through effort or merit. It unfolds in its appointed time, after you have exhausted your desire for lesser gifts, when you have experienced all that you wish to have and be in this world. The promise begins to stir within you. Signs of its approach include increased detachment from worldly concerns, spontaneous visions of spiritual significance, and a growing awareness of your identity with the divine I am. When the promise is fulfilled, you know beyond all doubt that you and the Father are one, persisting through the dark night. Almost everyone who walks this path experiences what has been called the dark night of the soul, a period of profound doubt, confusion, and seeming abandonment. During this phase, all that you have believed appears to fail you. Your manifestations cease, your faith wavers, and God seems utterly absent from your life. This dark night is not evidence that the process has failed, but that it has reached a critical juncture. It is the final purification before a significant breakthrough. It is the darkness before dawn. During this period, old beliefs and attachments are being dissolved to make way for a new level of consciousness. The caterpillar must enter the darkness of the chrysalis and experience the dissolution of its caterpillar identity before it can live as a butterfly. If you are experiencing such a dark night, take heart. God is not done with you. This is not abandonment, but transformation. Hold fast to your faith, not with desperate clutching, but with quiet confidence. Continue to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, even when all evidence argues against it. Those who persist through the dark night emerge with a sight that cannot be shaken, a knowledge that cannot be undermined by temporary appearances. They become masters of creation rather than victims of circumstance. The transformed mind As you work with the law of assumption and trust the divine process, your mind undergoes a profound transformation. You develop what the Bible calls the mind of Christ, a consciousness aligned perfectly with divine creative power. This transformed mind is not swayed by appearances. It judges not by sensory evidence, but by the reality of imagination. It knows that what is seen is temporary, while what is unseen is eternal. With this mind, you no longer react to conditions. You respond to them creatively, knowing that your consciousness determines your experience, not the other way around. You no longer pray to be delivered from circumstances, but realize your power to transform them through the assumption of the state you desire. This is the true second birth, not of flesh, but of consciousness. You are born anew into a realization of your creative power and your identity with the divine I Am, the community of the faithful. As you walk this path of conscious creation, you will find yourself drawn to others who understand and apply these principles. This is the true meaning of church, not an external organization, but a gathering of those who worship in spirit and in truth. You need not proselytize or convince others of what you have discovered. Those who are ready will be drawn to you naturally. Those who are not will fall away, often without conflict or drama. This sorting is not your responsibility, but part of the divine process. God is not done with them either, though their path may differ from yours for a season. Share your understanding with those who show genuine interest, but avoid casting your pearls before those who would trample them underfoot through ridicule or argumentative opposition. The truth you embody will speak more persuasively than any verbal argument. The eternal expansion. The divine process never truly ends, for consciousness is eternally expansive. There is no final state, no ultimate achievement that completes your journey. Each fulfillment opens the door to new desires, new possibilities, new expressions of the infinite creative power within you. This eternal expansion is cause for celebration, not concern. It means that life never grows stale, never becomes routine, never reaches a point of stagnation. There are always new worlds to conquer, new aspects of yourself to discover, new joys to experience. God is not done with you because God, your own wonderful human imagination, is the ever-creating, ever-expanding essence of life itself. As you align with this creative flow, accepting its perfect timing and infinite wisdom, you experience the joy that comes from participating consciously in the eternal unfoldment. Practical application. To close our discussion tonight, let me offer some practical guidance for applying these principles in your daily life. Select a desire that, if fulfilled, would bring you genuine joy. Make it specific enough to generate real feeling, but general enough to allow for flexible fulfillment. Construct a short scene that implies your desire's fulfillment. Perhaps it's a friend congratulating you, or you simply observing evidence that your wish has come to pass. Enter a state of relaxation through whatever method works best for you. Physical relaxation facilitates mental receptivity. In this relaxed state, enact your scene in imagination. See it through your own eyes, not as an observer. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, experience the emotions that would accompany fulfillment. Repeat this scene until it feels natural, until it has the tone of reality. This may require one session or many, depending on your capacity for feeling and your attachment to contrary evidence. Throughout your day, whenever doubt arises, remind yourself, God is not done with me. The process is unfolding perfectly. Then briefly recall the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Release all anxiety about how your desire will manifest. The bridge of incidents will form naturally through the wisdom of divine law. Express gratitude for the fulfillment of your desire, not as something to come, but as something already accomplished in consciousness. Watch for and follow intuitive promptings. These inner nudges are often part of the bridge of incidents leading to your manifestation. When your desire manifests, acknowledge the operation of law. This strengthens your faith for future creations. Remember, the process I describe is not magical thinking or wishful imagination. It is the deliberate application of the creative law that shapes all experience. It requires practice, persistence, and unwavering faith in the midst of contradictory appearances. Final words. My dear friends, as we conclude our time together, let me leave you with this final assurance: God is not done with you. The divine process that shapes your destiny continues perfectly, bringing you ever closer to the complete realization of your desires and ultimately to the fulfillment of the promise. Do not be discouraged by temporary appearances of failure or delay. Do not interpret the silence as abandonment. In the depths of consciousness, in the invisible realm where all creation begins, your assumption is being given form and substance, preparing to emerge into the world of physical reality. Trust the process as you would trust the growth of a seed planted in fertile soil. Having planted your desire through conscious assumption, enter the Sabbath rest of absolute confidence. Know that what you have planted must, by immutable law, come to harvest. You are not subject to chance or fate. You are not the victim of circumstances or the prisoner of past mistakes. You are the operating power of God in this world, creating your reality through the choices of consciousness. As you leave this place tonight, go with the conviction that the work begun in you continues to its perfect fulfillment. God is not done with you. The process unfolds exactly as it should. Your task is simply to maintain the faithful assumption that what you desire is already yours in the one true reality, the reality of consciousness. In that conviction lies your power, your peace, and the certainty of manifestation. God bless you all.